Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandot Pranam.
Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Pranam Mataji.
Tanvay Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Mataji, Pranam
Tanvay
Hare Krishna
Pranam, Hare
Mataji, Pranam Mataji.
Tanvay Pranam, Hare Krishna. Let's start. Okay, let's start. You can raise your hand if you want to recite. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jyotirayet Nashtaprayasho Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th Canto, Chapter 10, Verse 10. Aho dainyam aho kashtam parakhyah kshanabhangurhe yanno pakuryad ashvarther martaya swagyati vigrahe. Sramya Madhvi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandot Pranam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Aho Dainyam Aho Kashtam Parakyai Kshanabhangurai Yanno Pakuryad Asvarthair Martya Swadnyati Vigrahai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Madhumai Krishna Kanta Mataji. Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Pranam Mataji, Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Aho Dainyam Aho Kashtam Parakyaihi Kshanabanguraihi Yanno Pakuryat Asvartaihi Martyaha Swajnati Vigrahaihi. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Venkat Narasimha Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Aho dainyam aho kashtam parakyai kshanabhangurahi yannopakuryat aswarjai matya swagnati vigrahai. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Krishna. Chitramohini Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Pranam Mataji.
Om
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Aho Dainyam Aho Kashtam Parakai Kshanabhangurai Yannupakuryad Asvarthaihi Mratya Swajnati Vigrahaihi. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Madhusoni Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranam Mataji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Aho Dainyam Aho Kashtam Parakyaiha Shanabhangure Yanno Pakuryad Swarthe Martyai Swagyati Vigre. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Pranandini Madhvi Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Pranam Mataji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Aho Danyam Aho Kashtam Parakye Kshanabhangurehi Yannapa Akuryas Aswarthair Martya Swagyati Vigrahai. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Usha Devati Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Pranam Mataji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Aho Dainyam Aho Kashtam Parakya Kshanabhangurai Yanno Pakuryat Ashvartair Martya Swanyati Vigrahai. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Aho alas, dainyam a miserable condition. Aho alas, kashtam simply tribulation. Parakhe, which after death are eatable by dogs and jackals. Kshanabhangure, perishable at any moment. Yat, because, na not, upakuryad, would help. Aswa arthe, not meant for self-interest. Martyaha, a living entity destined to die. Swa, with his wealth. Gyati, relatives and friends. Vigrahe, and his body. Translation by His Divine Grace Prabhupada ki Jai. This body, which is eatable by jackals and dogs after death, does not actually do any good for me, the spirit soul. It is usable only for a short time and may perish at any moment. The body and its possessions, its riches and relatives must all be engaged for the benefit of others, or else they will be sources of tribulations and misery. Purport by Shiva Pashabhat Ki Jai. Similar advice is also given in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto 22nd chapter verse 35. एतावज् जन्म सफलयं देहिनाम् इह देहिषु प्राणेरर्थे धिया वाचा श्रेया अर्चनम sada. It is a duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words. This is the mission of life. One's own body and the bodies of his friends and relatives, as well as one's own riches and everything else one has, should be engaged for the benefit of others. This is the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As stated in Chaitanya Chaitamrita Adi Leela chapter 9 verse 41. भारत भूमिते हैला मनुष्य जन्म यार जन्म सार्थक करी करे पर उपकार. One who has taken his birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharatvarsh, Krishna, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. The word upakuryat means para upakar, helping others. Of course, in human society, there are many institutions to help others. But because philanthropists do not know how to help others, their propensity for philanthropy is ineffectual. They do not know the ultimate goal of life, Shreya Archanam, which is to please the Supreme Lord. If all philanthropic and humanitarian activities were directed toward achieving the ultimate goal of life, to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they would all be perfect. Humanitarian work without Krishna is nothing. Krishna must be brought to the center of all our activities. Otherwise, no activity will have value. Om Adyan Timirandasya Gyan Anjan Chalakaya Chakshurunmiltam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapita Vira Bhutale Swam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Sapadantikam. He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinbandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namasite Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishbhanuste Devi Pranamami Hari Priya. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. नमामि विष्णु पदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामने. नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे. This body, which is eatable by jackals and dogs after death, does not actually do any good for me, the spirit soul. It is usable only for a short time and may perish at any moment. The body and its possessions, its riches and relatives must all be engaged for the benefit of others, or else they will be sources of tribulation and misery. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, which is called as the prescribed duties of the mankind, chapter 10, which is called as
The battle between the demigods and Vritrasura.
the battle between the demigods and Vritsasura. Who is speaking this verse?
Dadichi Muni.
Dadichi Muni.
Dadichi Muni is speaking to who?
To the demigods.
Why?
Because they have asked for his bones to make that weapon.
To
As
make
for the weapon to fight with
To
Vritrasura.
make thunderbolt weapon.
So if they have asked for the
Vajrayuda.
body, then why is he speaking all this? Why is he speaking all this?
Dadichi Muni is actually explaining in detail the value of the body.
Very nice. Yeah. So the Dadichi Muni is initially kind of smilingly refused the request of the demigods to give his body, giving excuse that there's so much pain at the time of death. But when Indra spoke about religious principles and how saintly person use all their possessions for the service of others, he was impressed by the vocalization of the religious principles, and then he started to say that, yes, I wanted to hear these words of religious principles from you. That is why I refused. And then the Dichi Muni has been giving different reasons as to why one must give up one's body, wealth, one's possession, one's relations in the service of the others, and how one has to put Krishna in the center of all these services. It's not that, okay, I'm gonna become a very big nationalist and give my body to the nation. It is better than becoming a debauchee. It is definitely better than the position is much higher. Yes, but that is not the ultimate goal. Okay, that's what Bhagavatam is teaching, that if you're gonna do something, if you're gonna put your effort, if you're gonna put your time, if you're going to put your energy into something, then do something which is of the ultimate good. Don't stop midway. Okay, so the ultimate good is, as Prabhupada is writing in the last line, bring Krishna in the center. Because if humanitarian work without Krishna is nothing. Krishna must be brought to the center of all our activities. Otherwise, no activity will have value. So it says no activity will have any value, but it looks like there is a value. No, actually, there is no value. Why? Because it is not of ultimate benefit to anyone. It is taking care of discomfort at the given moment. Okay, but it is not of a value. For example, we can cure the fever by, we can relieve the fever by giving, what is the medicine in India? Panadol, paracetamol. Yeah, paracetamol, combiflem. You can give the medicine, right, to bring the fever down. That has a value. But then, which one is better? To cure the reason for the fever, to remove the infection from the body, or to reduce the fever by just giving anti-fever medicine? What is better? Which has value? Huh?
Remove the cause. Remove the cause.
So yeah, so that the fever doesn't happen again, right? To remove the cause, that has a value, right? So that way, the value in service is if we can bring Krishna somehow or other. Okay, if it's not that Krishna speaks about hierarchy of ways to come to him in 12th chapter Bhagavad Gita, right? And in that he does talk about giving charity to others. Yes, it is there, because by giving charity, Prabhupada explains in the purport that the mind becomes softer, the mind becomes ready to receive instructions. Because if we are not giving charity, if we are not giving any of our possessions in charity, in goodwill to help another person in need, then we remain very proud, and pride mind and hard heart cannot get instructions. So the place becomes a little more fertile to receive the instructions of the acharyas. Okay, but it says, okay, if you are gonna do something, then do it in such a way that Krishna is in the center of all these activities. Okay, so he's saying that the body, now this is the spirit of detachment, that the body does not actually do any good for me, the spirit soul. This is a very broad statement to make. Huh? Does not actually do any good for me, the spirit soul. So basically, it means, as Prabhupada explains in the lecture of one Bhagavad Gita, I want to say, I heard it, that actually a spirit soul does not need a body. It does not need a material body. It's not. You see, sometimes understand that how complex the situation is. Just understand, like, for example, if somebody wants to enjoy eating flesh, okay, eating meat. So such a complex structure is given to the living entity. Why? So that they can grab a piece of flesh and put it on the tongue and taste it. So such a complex structure is made by the material nature for just one desire. Okay, so the spirit soul is not in need of the body. Spirit soul has been given the body. If we have this body, then use the body for only one purpose. And that should be the aim of life. I am not saying that don't fulfill other purposes or other responsibilities that we have obviously in front of our eyes. I'm saying, but that's not the goal of life. I say this is the same thing being repeated over and over again. It's not the goal of life. The goal of life is to become Krishna conscious. The goal of life is actually to have self-preservation first. And how do we do the self-preservation? First, by bringing ourselves to Krishna, by preserving myself to bring to Krishna. And this is not selfish. If you actually analyze Bhagavatam, all the devotees did it. Okay, you see, Parikshit Maharaj was given the death sentence. You're going to die in 7 days. What did he do? Self-preservation. Immediately, he brought himself and started to hear about the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dhruva Muni was given the insulting blows by his mother. What did he do? Self-preservation. He took care of his self. Yes, he came out of the need, but then because he came to Krishna, that was the right way to take care of himself. Okay, he did not care about anybody else. He didn't even inform anyone in the kingdom before he left for the forest. He was like so much into preserving himself and taking care of his burning need. And we see one more example I was thinking is Draupadi. They tried to insult her in the assembly of exalted personalities. So what did she do in her self-preservation? She surrendered to Krishna. Krishna, as this body is going to only bring me disgust, this body is only going to bring me insult, is only going to bring me the reasons to be unhappy about. Right? So here I am giving up to you now. So that's the self-preservation. The self-preservation is the first law. So we must use this body for that upakar and then para upakar. Do something good to ourselves and then bring it to others. If we are not doing it on ourselves, it will be hard to bring it to others. And if we are not bringing it to others, the message, if you're not bringing it to others, then it will be difficult to carry it on in our own lives. So both go hand in hand. Okay. Preaching and learning both go hand in hand in Krishna consciousness, because in giving we receive and in receiving we learn. So this is how it works. So the message of the verse that the Dichi Muni is saying is that the body and the allies of the body, the relations of the body or the associates of the body in the form of wealth, assets, intelligence, words, everything that one has, or one must be encouraging enough to encourage others around us in the form of our friends, relatives, to do something beneficial for others. Okay, and that is the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Don't think that if we do something beneficial for others, we will lag behind, or we will become poorer, or our bank account will go down. No. Actually, the bank account will go down if we don't do it for others, because first is dharma. Remember this. Okay, modern education doesn't teach us, but Shastra say first is dharma, or following the codes of religion, then artha, then comes the riches. So if you're following the codes of religion, the artha will follow. But if not, then it is not going to happen. Over the course of the time, the riches become a source of distress. There's so many stories in the pages of the history where somebody was very poor and then they became very rich, thinking that richness will bring a lot of happiness along with it. But then what happened? That they became rich, but then the happiness didn't come. The happiness didn't come. There's so many kings. I was many years ago, I watched a documentary about a bygone ages king in somewhere in Rajasthan. Okay, I don't recall rightly, but over there they were explaining that how the king was so, there was always a threat to the life of the king, that to serve the king the food, it had to come through a secret tunnel, not from the main kitchen of the palace, because it could be poisoned. So this is okay. This personality is acting as a king, so is so rich. There's so many people, so many followers, but then cannot even eat food from a common kitchen of the palace. It has to come through the secret tunnel, underground kitchen somewhere, which very less people knew that that's where his food comes from. He would get food from the palace kitchen and from there, so there is no confusion, but then he would eat the food which is brought from the other kitchen. You see, this is what it brings out. it looks like, because material energy has a way to paint some color and bring forth something in front of us that we get attracted to, because it's a test. No, it's a test that, okay, are we still attracted to something else other than Krishna? So catch yourself. Okay, catch yourself that if it is happening, catch it, because um, ultimately the time factor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will reveal what prevails and what does not prevail. And what will prevail is in the words of the absolute scriptures. The scriptures speak the language which is absolute. It's not dependent on the past, present, future. It's absolute, always true. Okay, so the scriptures are given this principle-based statement that use this body, use the riches of the body, use the intelligence, use the words, use the relationships associated with the body in the service of the others. And the acharyas are teaching that the best service to others is to bring Krishna in the life of the other personality. Okay, it's like what was there is a book, Krishna, give me the memory. I don't recall the book, but there was this I really don't recall the book, but there was this book I read many years ago where the author started the book by saying that he was at a funeral, and the funeral was of a neighbor who was the mother of 4 children. It's a real thing in America. She was in America, and then everybody was speaking about the person who had passed away, and they were talking about the qualities, like what qualities stood out and the contributions that this person made in the for the benefit of others. Okay, but then retrospectively thinking, this person who was writing the book was thinking that during the life of this neighbor, how envious he was to this lady. Why? Because she was a very accomplished physician. She was a very famous personality in the country, had won many awards. So she was an object of envy for this particular author. And then when he was sitting in the funeral of the same person, no one actually talked about her degree, her qualification. All they talk nobody, no one talked about how much money she had made over a small span of time. All they talked about was how much nice qualities she had and how she was always willing to help others. So these things we know, and even in the secular world we know what has the most value. But the and material energy has a way to cover it up. It is a way to paint and bring a curtain of blindness in front of our eyes so that we get allured by something other than what is most important. But by the virtue of chanting Hare Krishna, by right kind of association, by reading the Shastras, and by, by praying properly or by keeping proper association, we can always remind ourselves that I am on a mission. My life has a mission. I am not a person who is just going to go with the flow. I'm going to make a flow. I'm on a mission of going back to Godhead. And in that, why should I go alone? Why should I go alone? The more the merrier. So it is the responsibility, and the message may be imperfect. Nevertheless, it has to be conveyed because it is the order of the acharyas. Okay, so the encouragement is given to use the body and the allies, the assets associated with the body in service to others. And Prabhupada is adding on saying that in service to others to bring them to Krishna. Otherwise, no service has any value. Only Krishna has value. Okay, that is why anything that we do has value. It appears that there is some value, but it is not a value. The value, there is some alleviation of the discomfort, agreed, but it is not adding to the ultimate value to somebody's life. Okay, it's like, for example, if it is severely cold and you give a warm blanket to someone who's shivering in the cold, yes, it is help. It is help to given to that person, but it is not adding any value to their life. It is helping them in that particular a scenario, but there is no promise that this person will not be getting cold again, or there will not be such a severe weather again. There is no such thing. So the value is from Krishna, that if we bring Krishna, then the life becomes happier. Then even if there is a stormy weather in the life season of one's life, one is able to endure it, because there is a higher mission to accomplish beyond the uh, vision which is stormy right now. There is a higher vision, higher mission to accomplish with a lot of enthusiasm. Okay, so it is very important that one who is especially in Grahastha life and is earning money, dealing with the money, to give charity for the cause of Krishna consciousness. When Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada has said it, because if we don't do it, then it is, our heart will become hard. And if somebody thinks that, oh, I'm so poor, I cannot do it, don't think, because dharma, artha follows dharma. So from all the bases, I have never come across a person who has given the charity for the cause of Srila Prabhupada's mission and have become a bankrupt in their life. I've never seen. I'm not saying I'm seen each and every devotee, but I've seen fair number of devotees in my 23 years in Krishna consciousness with ISKCON. So I've seen fair number of people, but I have never seen. If you have seen, you can share, because Krishna makes sure that it's not that, that the person is parting their hard-earned riches for my service, so I'm going to bring them on the road. Questions, reflections, realizations, corrections. So understand that the body that I have is not doing any actual good for me, but I can bring it and add some value to it by serving myself with Krishna factor and also bringing it to other people's life. That is the only good.